We've just launched our latest call centre helper research, what contact centres are doing right now. And so there's lots to take away from this report. Let's start with the biggest news of the reduction in both voice channels. I mean, I should caveat that with it's still the largest channel share, but what's your key takeaway from this?
Yeah, so firstly, I really like these survey-based research and the fact that you do them each year because it allows you to spot some trends. So in other words, I think there's been a lot of expectation that the voice channel is going to be coming down over sort of time. And stubbornly, that hasn't been the case in previous years. Whereas I think for this year, there's something like about a 4 percentage point reduction if you total inbound voice as well as outbound voice. Now, that is probably statistically significant. It's not like a revolution, so it's not like coming down by double-digit percents, but I think it is the start of a trend. And if you drill into the data, as I have done, given the access that you've given me to the raw information, then I think that shift is counteracted by an increased use in some of the self-serve and automation channels. And again, we're only talking 5 and 6 percentage points. But the fact that one has gone up and an equal channel, the dominant channel of voice, has come down, then I think that is more than a sort of coincidence. And I think probably it shows that the tide is beginning to turn in terms of contact centres looking for ways that the voice channel, which is their predominant support mechanism, where that is most appropriately used. And are there ways that technology can take away a skimming of a sort of across the surface? And I think we can probably surmise that some of those lower complexity tasks are the ones that contact centres are focusing on trying to provide by a sort of alternative method. And if that in the audience, if that's what you're doing, then I think you can give yourself a pat on the back because that's the way the industry is going.
You summarized it actually in the report by saying it's more of an evolution as opposed to a revolution.
Yes.
So I think perfectly summarized. Um, and so I think going on to your further analysis, I really liked your insight on written communication being an area to investigate in the future role of AI. If
Mm.
you're a contact center leader, what would you do with this information?
Well, going back to the results of the survey, then round about a quarter of the contacts is in some sort of written form. Majority is email, but then I think we can regard live chat as being a form of sort of written communication. There's still a tiny amount of letters, and that's just there'll be a segment of people that like to get out the quill pen and and sort of send that in. But I think the thing to understand is whilst that might only be a quarter of total demands, if that were to be the more complex inquiry types, then I would expect that will consume a larger amount of resource than a quarter of the contact because the handle time associated with processing those written inquiries is actually going to be longer. So I think if that resonates with you, then look at the workforce planning assumptions, your resourcing assumptions, because I think what you'll see is if the handle times are longer, then it'll be more than a quarter of your workforce that are involved in written tasks. And if that's the case, then suddenly, and let's say it's 35, 40, 45% of activity, then AI tools that can look at ways in which processes can be enhanced and answers can be made more available to agents so that they can respond more quickly. Those, I think, are an areas that a business case may well be very easy to sort of define.